Hi there. Reflection for today. Do I live in a friendly universe or do I live in a hostile, threatening universe? So if I live in a friendly universe, I'm going to see the world very differently, aren't I? If we live in a hostile, threatening world around us, well, we're going to see life very differently as well. So the thing to reflect on is, I get to choose. What do I choose? Today's topic, I'm going to talk about the non-physical aspects of who we are from my understanding. And then in a follow-up video, I'm going to talk about how that shows up physically. So non-physical. If we think of the fact that we're swimming in a sea of energy, traditionally it's been said we're a drop of water in the ocean of life. I love that. I think that's a really good way to describe it. And so the drop of water is that separate little part that becomes the physical, but we're actually the ocean. So from my experiences previously, the mystical near-death experiences that I kind of had, well, I touched that. I touched that feeling. And what I mean by that was I touched the expanded state, the non-physical, the etheric, as I've mentioned before in the talk on the 5 elements. So that's actually who we really are. So it's if we come from the physical part of us, the part of us that's around us, sometimes it's called an aura. In other forms, it's just called our spirit self, our spirit body. It has different layers of density to it, but it actually starts from the level of what I call love, or the unified field, or it's got so many names. You can call it God if you wish, but one of my favorites is the eternal always. So it's this present state. It's eternal, it's always here, and we're part of it. And when we go home, we remember that and we emerge back into that place. But when we wake up after being asleep and we've come back to the physical, then in fact we've sort of condensed, we've come back to a more physical condensed part of us, which is a tiny, tiny little fragment of that expression of this eternal field of oneness, of love, peace and joy. So the trick, from my understanding, is that we're here to express that. So in traditional medicine they said it's very important that we bring heaven to earth. And so that's remembering who we really are. That's the non-physical part of us. And as I've mentioned, it's got layers. So it's got all these different names in different cultures. Sometimes they call it the causal body, or the Buddhic body, or the Atma. It's got all these fancy names. You don't have to remember all those names. Just think of it as the more expanded, true, connected self that we're all a part of. And then it differentiates. So we become an individual. So we go from the complete oneness down into, as the layers condense down, we become more a mind, a separate identity. And the mind itself has different levels. So the truer, deeper, broader mind doesn't see us as separate. It sees us as just all unique expressions of the one. But as we condense down even further, we become more individualized, then it's more, we start to see ourselves coming more into a separate form. And in that separate form, the mind sees it's you out there and me here. we're not the same anymore. So a newborn baby, an infant, doesn't have that separate sense yet. It just sees everything is me. I am one, I am everything, with everything around me. And the journey of being physical is, oh, I'm now in a physical form. And I've got to learn to operate as a separate identity. And so I have my own thoughts eventually. And I also have emotions and responses according to those thoughts. And that's the creative act. That's the game we're here to play, is to become masters of our own thoughts. To realise that we get to choose. Our thoughts are not really the entirety of who we are. They're just expressions of what we're here to experience. And with those thoughts, we have feelings, and we have emotions, and we have actions and reactions. And like I said before, if we're really aware of that, we get to take charge of the way our day is going to be experienced. And so we start to see our creative ability, and it's just a big game. We're having fun, experiencing life, which children naturally do when they're little. For the first 7 years of life, they live in a state of brainwave where it's theta and delta, deep brainwave levels. And so they're just back in the field. Everything's just imaginative, and they're just absorbing everything from around them, forming this character that will later become separate, and the brain waves will be more alpha and beta, where we have more individual thoughts. But that's part of the journey. It's like we have to leave home, go on a journey, remember who we really are, and then we go, oh, I got it. And then we head back home again. We go back to the oneness. And if we can see that as an incredible experience, that's a growing experience, we're going to have a lot better life, aren't we? So that's the non-physical part of us. And that's just a simplified version of how I see it. Our thoughts create our experiences, our perceptions create our experiences, and then we have our emotions, and finally that expresses itself into the physical body and how we deal with life, how we manage life. So that's all for now. I hope you are enjoying your day, experiencing your day in a way that you're seeing it as a gift rather than as a problem. And remember, we're not here for very long, really, in the expansiveness of the eternal now. So when that time comes for all of us, let that be a peaceful, beautiful transition onto eternity.